So Notre Dame managed to pull it off against Penn State, and it definitely wasn't a masterpiece. There were moments when it felt like the Irish would fall short, but the defense came through when it absolutely had to. I really thought they showed tremendous grit in a game where the offense just wasn't fully clicking, and I think it really highlights how outstanding Marcus Freeman is as a coach. He's so prepared, imaginative, and he's had his team rally around him all season long. Leonard didn't have the greatest outing, but he did enough, and the running backs were pretty quiet aside from their touchdowns. But Jaden Greathouse was a total force, and to me, this game proved just how deep the Irish roster is. When one part of the team isn't producing, another one picks it up. In this video, I'm going to dive into how Notre Dame got the win, I'm going to sort of recap the game, then talk about what's coming next, because they're facing Ohio State in the championship, and it's bound to be wild. But before I begin, I would really appreciate it if you would drop a like and subscribe. It only takes 5 seconds, plus you can always change your mind. And your support truly does mean the world. Alright, let's kick things off by looking back at the 27-24 victory over the Nittany Lions. Both defenses were locked in early, each getting a big stand right out of the gate. With around 5 minutes left in the first quarter, Leonard threw a pick to Wheatley, and Drew Aller led Penn State downfield. Ryan Barker drilled a 20-yard field goal to give Penn State the early 3-0 edge. Once more, Leonard and the Irish offense couldn't find a rhythm and were forced to punt. That's when I started to think Penn State might run away with it, because their offense started picking up speed. Katron Allen rattled off a 20-yard run, Tyler Warren grabbed a few key receptions, and Singleton powered his way in for a rushing touchdown, putting Penn State up 10-0. At this point, Notre Dame recognized they needed a score, and that's exactly what they did. This team has consistently responded when their backs have been against the wall. Williams made a catch, Mitchell Evans got a quick 5-yard gain, Jaden Greathouse had a catch, and Mitch Jeter connected on a 41-yard field goal right before halftime to make it 10-3. Coming out of the break, Jeremiah Love started hammering away on the ground, picking up several nice chunks. Then Leonard hit Aeneas Williams on a massive 36-yard pass, followed by a Williams rush for 15 yards. Finally, Leonard himself took it in for the score, tying it at 10 apiece. And suddenly the momentum swung Notre Dame's way. The defense then stepped up and forced a huge stop. Late in the third quarter, Leonard methodically marched the Irish downfield, hitting Evans for 9 yards, then finding Greathouse for 17, followed by an 18-yard rush from Jaden Thomas. I really loved how balanced the Irish offense looked in this one. Everyone contributed. Love finished off the drive from 2 yards out to put the Irish on top 17-10. Penn State wasted no time responding as Drew Aller delivered a strike to Tyler Warren for 27 yards and also scrambled for 9 himself. Then he hit Khalil Dinkins for a 20-yard gain, Aller rushed for 10 yards, and Singleton scored from 7 yards out to knot things up at 17 with 10 minutes left. And that's when Leonard made a huge blunder, throwing a pick to Sutton and flipping the momentum back to Penn State. And Aller and the Nittany Lions capitalized, with Aller running for an 11-yard gain and a pass interference call handing them another 15 yards, and Singleton got another rushing touchdown right after that, giving Penn State the 24-17 lead. And with the season on the line, the Irish needed to answer right away. And guess what? On their very next drive, a Penn State corner slipped, allowing Jaden Greathouse to stroll into the end zone on a 54-yard TD, tying the game at 24. Now Penn State had about 4 minutes to work with. And at this point, Penn State did still have the upper hand, and Notre Dame needed one more defensive stand to give themselves a shot. Bryce Young delivered a key stop on Aller, leaving Leonard with about 2 minutes and 45 seconds to orchestrate a potential game-winning drive. And credit to Penn State's defense here, because even though they gave up a 15-yard penalty, they bounced back with a big sack, and the Irish had to punt with 47 seconds left on the clock. You figured Penn State would just feed Singleton a couple of times and wait out the clock, but they opted to throw, and Drew Aller made a really poor decision. Christian Gray picked it off, which put the Irish in position for a game-winning kick, and Mitch Jeter nailed it. And in a stunning finish, Notre Dame took the 27-24 victory and punched their ticket to the national championship. It still blows my mind how far Notre Dame has come this season. Not a lot of programs could lose to NIU the way they did and then turn things around like this. Again, I think it all points back to Marcus Freeman's leadership and Riley Leonard's resilience. The offense is so creative and adaptive, and the defense has improved significantly too. As I mentioned, the depth is starting to show itself. This team can rely on multiple groups stepping up. I know Ohio State is going to be an absolute dogfight. Talent-wise, the Buckeyes have a definite edge, but one thing Notre Dame has is plenty of grit and determination. And if there's a silver lining, it's that the Irish honestly didn't look all that sharp against Penn State. It was one of the most entertaining wins of the year, but there are still plenty of areas they can clean up. And I think that beating Penn State might mark a real turning point for this program. This win might feel even more gratifying than the Georgia one did. I thought the Georgia victory was a huge stepping stone, but historically Notre Dame hasn't often pulled off wins like this when they're backed into a corner with bad officiating or a struggling offense. That's usually not their style, but now that they've done it and on such a massive stage, it's a huge confidence boost heading into the national championship versus Ohio State, and it should pay dividends in the coming years, especially in the transfer portal. Talented players will be drawn to a program on the rise, and the momentum really could carry over for the next decade. And who wouldn't want to play for Marcus Freeman? He's a younger coach who can connect with the players, he's incredibly innovative, and he's the kind of guy who will find ways to utilize everyone on the roster, even if you're further down on the depth chart. Plus, he doesn't carry a massive ego, so in my opinion, he fits Notre Dame perfectly, and I'm super excited to see how he tackles the national championship. Obviously, it's a tall order, but I expect him to be aggressive and try to shorten the game in his favor. There really isn't a fan base more deserving of this moment than Notre Dame's. The last 10 years have been full of heartbreak, disappointments, and a real lack of excitement, but you had to figure eventually the program would bounce back, and that time is now. Looking ahead to Ohio State, the one word I'd use for the Irish to pull off a monumental upset is creativity. They need odd formations, unexpected calls, anything to keep that Buckeyes defense off balance. Purely in terms of size and talent, Notre Dame is at a disadvantage, and Ohio State's defensive line has looked like an NFL unit these past few games. I know Freeman takes pride in winning at the line of scrimmage with guys like Love and Price, but in this one, they'll need a balanced strategy. Leonard must hit some big throws, and I want to see screens and short crossing routes to get the ball out quickly, because Jack Sawyer and JT are likely to swarm the backfield. So if you can pepper in screens and make Ohio State hesitate before blitzing full tilt, you might buy just enough time for those deeper shots to develop. So I think the Irish have a better shot at winning than a lot of people believe. It's not like Will Howard is a surefire top 5 draft prospect who can't be rattled. If Notre Dame's defensive line can do what they did to Drew Aller, they could force some bad throws and swing the game. All in all, beating Penn State is a massive win for this team. The national championship is going to be a blast, and I'm super excited to see how it unfolds. Let me know in the comments below how you're feeling about Notre Dame, and share your thoughts on that crazy win over the Nittany Lions. Here's a bit of what Freeman and a few other guys had to say in their post-game presser.
You know, we got a lot of confidence in the offensive line room, and you know, when Knapp goes down, Tosh Baker has to go in, and when Rocco goes down, Charles Jagasaw has to go in, and we got a lot of confidence in them. You know, I think the situation right before half, you got a new quarterback in there. You know, is it a 2-minute situation, or they're trying to rush upfield, and they made some plays.
This summer, when I took a brain test to what I performed in the tent, so passed that, and Steve Angeli, I mean, this is a guy who is kind of waited his turn, and all year is prepared like he's a starting quarterback every single week, showing a lot of maturity, and he helps me out a lot. I mean, he's a guy on the sideline who knows exactly what the defense is doing, and he's a good friend of mine, and I appreciate him a lot. So for him to go in and drive him down the field 3 points before half, that was big.
That's all I got for this video. Thank you all so much if you made it to this point, and if you enjoyed and haven't yet, please be sure to drop a like and subscribe, because your support truly does mean the world. And also, let me know what you would like to see next, and until then, I will see you all later.